Hi, this is Dorothy at Done by Dorothy, and we are here today to share with you an upcoming swap that we're going to be having in our Facebook group. I'll put the link to our Facebook group in the description box below, as well as the name across the bottom of the screen. We are going to be having this swap come up. We'll have swaps every 3 weeks or so within our group. So if you're interested in swapping things, come on over and join us. So I wanted to sort of walk you through what I have put in here. This is our stuffed envelope swap, and I'll sort of go through what's in here. So we have our base of our envelope, obviously. We have a rosette here, and it's actually attached, but it can come off. It can be removed. There's a small lace spool. There's a tag, and it does have a pendant charm on it with a small rose in it, and this can be removed if you want to use it on something else. There's a small embossed tag, and another one, and there again is that little rose featured, and this does feature paper by Sally Butler, and I'll put her name and links to her in the description box below too, as well as a coupon code for 10% off. We have an additional rosette on a paper straw here, and you can see that. I'm trying to make it focus better, so hopefully you can see that. I did have some EK Success felt corners, and those have been added, as well as a bulldog clip, and this micro tiny bag, which, if you can see in there, contains all sorts of tiny beads that you can use on your project. The paper line featured in here is My Dearest Jane, as well as Romantique Family Tree, I believe. There's some small butterfly acrylic gems. There's also some paper flowers, as well as another large rosette. And that's the front of our stuffed envelope. As you'll see, there is a pocket here, and a pocket back here. And I will be walking through a tutorial when we get finished on how to create the base. Then we will continue through, and we'll go through building this whole entire pocket on a tutorial so everyone can see. There's a small flower here that, again, you can remove if you'd like to use it. There's a small pocket with just a small journaling spot in it. And some of these I did leave plain, so if you wanted to decorate those, you could decorate those however you wanted. Here's a small pocket tuck. There is a small tag, sorry. There's a tag with a pull tab. There's also a top loading pocket, as well as a side loading pocket. So then on the back, there is a bottom pocket and a middle pocket. And like I said, we'll be doing a tutorial walking you through each step of how we built this and what all is included. So let me get all of these in here so you can see it once again, if I can remember what went where. So there's quite a bit of items in here. So there's 5, 6 items in the back. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11 are in there. 12, oops, 13, 14, 15 items in our little envelope, not counting the envelope, which if everything is removed, you could easily add like a fabric binding strip and have it as a flip pocket in your journal, or you could even glue it down on the back if you wanted to. So it does give you some options of what you'd like to do. So we're going to talk about the base today, and that's what we're going to work on today, is building the pocket. It's, well, part of the pocket itself. And we will do, these were actually rolled and tucked. We will actually do a little bit different of a way to do it, so you can see two different ways. And I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do several of these. So you'll be, because the one I'm doing today is sort of going to be like a junk journal type one. I'm using scraps to build it. And then I'll go through like a set and recreate this exact one that I made so you can see. So without further ado, the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need 2 envelopes. You can use new envelopes. You can use old envelopes. Like these are ones I've gotten in junk mail, where these are ones that I had purchased new anywhere that you know, purchase your long-winded envelopes. So since we're doing junk, I will use my junk mail envelopes. The first thing I'm going to do is sort of hold them up, and you want 2 that are somewhat near the same size, and I'll show you why. Especially the height doesn't matter, but the width does. See how this one is a lot shorter, a lot smaller on there. It's like a 1/4 of an inch smaller. So if I'm creating my pocket, I am going to have this like matted edge over here on that. Unless that's something that you want, you can have that option, you know, where it's like that if you want. I prefer for mine to be about the same. That one is almost the width. I think this one is, which is one of the benefits. Okay, then I bet these 2. Oh, these 2. So this was junk mail. It came with paperwork. So, okay. We do have the 2 windows, so we need to take care to make sure that we have those sort of taken care of, even though we're going to be covering it. So on my one envelope, I put the window at the bottom, and I just sort of put a circle at the top. So as you're moving them around, or at the bottom, you know which part's supposed to be the bottom. That just is a good reminder for me. So it's there. And then this one, let's see. This one's going to be the bottom down here. So I just sort of, that's just something I do to make it easier for me. Okay, so we have this window here. We don't really want to incorporate in that window. So we're going to take this first envelope, and we're going to come up above the window. So I'm just going to go about right there. And I'm going to burnish it to make sure it's okay. So I want it to be to the right hand side. I want to make sure that my window is towards the bottom, and make sure that there's a distance, because if not, then you're going to have to deal with this on your edge, and if it gets poked, it becomes all of that. So okay, so you need to seal your envelope. I'm just going to hit mine with some art glitter glue. Now you can do several different ways, and like I said, we're going to do different ones, but this is the one we're working with now. So there's my bottom. Okay, and we need to seal this one. So we're going to seal both of our envelopes, and it just takes a little bead of glue because you just need it held down while you're gluing everything else on it. Okay, so I need to grab my paper trimmer, and you can write on this if you want to. You can do a P for pocket and a B for your base, so you know which one's which if it makes it easier for you. Okay, so this one I'm going to go on the top, make sure not the bottom, but the top. And I'm just going to simply, I'm not cutting off really any paper, and I'll show you. It's just the teeny tiny littlest amount. And I mean, you can even go smaller, just that teeny tiny amount, just enough that opens our top of our envelope and creates our pocket. Okay, so now I'm going to be dealing with scraps for mine. I've decided to use my scraps with this one. So I've got all my scraps out. I've got this blue scrap that I cut out last night when I was using for example. So let me put my envelopes to the side. Here's this. I have this scrap. These are cutoffs of like scrapbook paper that I have. So it's just sort of figuring out. I've got some brown, which always works good for bases. So it looks like we're going to do sort of a pink. That's a pretty color though. So all of these cutoffs. That pink seems to be popular. But I really, really like this page back here. Let's see if I have any others that with it. And like I said, these are cutoffs. Like when I would cut a 12 by 12 down to an 8.5. So let's see. There's some pinks. I think I want to use this page on the bottom as my base, as on my basis. So let's see what else I have that sort of goes with that. Not really. I may have to sort of settle with these because I don't know if I have any colors in here that actually match with that. Nope, I don't think so. Okay, so I have these. Let's use these because these all are pretty bright and springy. They sort of go together. There's lots of these little 1-inch strips that match with them that are the same color, so we'll use these. There is a dark pink that goes, I don't know if that goes in that same set or not. It feels like it does. I don't really like that color pink in there. So, yep, this is what happens when you use your scraps. Now, wait a minute. Just hold on here. I know I need to coat my envelope, so I'm going to try to see. You know what? I probably could use these. I think this is what we'll do. That works. All of this goes away. Let's see if there's any other pieces of that in here, so I can clear my table. I'll leave the brown out in case I decide I want to use it. Okay, let me put this stuff back in my scrap box. Okay, so this is what we're going to use. So I need to find out, let's see. I have to cover this one, front and back, and then both sides of the pocket. So I'm thinking the windows would look really cute on the pocket. Sort of like a display of windows. Then we could put maybe like this across the bottom for our small pocket. I think that'll work. So, okay, this is going to go to here. So we might as well use this for there too. So that covers that. So we need something for this. That's not supposed to be in there. That either. Actually, let's use this because it's sort of a hodgepodge. And then we'll use some of this for the back because our pocket will come up and cover some, so we can make that work. Okay, so let's do this. Let me grab some music sheet and some book page just to go along with it. Let me see. There's our some of our vintage spelling book. Trying to find some music here. There's some other text. Trying to see if I have any vintage music sitting here that we can use. I actually found one. I don't know what year it is. It is 1921, and it's got Touch the Rose, so we could use the rose. That would be really cute to use, like as a tag or something like that. So yeah, so we'll use that. Okay, so let me set my extra pages and this over here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my envelopes. And I got a new sponge, so it's all doing its thing. And because it's an envelope, I'm not going to really worry about if the lines on the side show or anything like that, because I think it sort of gives some, like, a little bit of something. And once you get it coated, you're not, or covered with your paper, you're not really going to see that anyway. The only thing bad about getting a new sponge is you got to break it in again. I just got it where it was inking real good, and I really liked how thick the ink was going on. Now I got to start all over again. That's okay. Okay, that's pretty good. And then this is going to be our pockets, so we don't have to ink both sides. We just have to ink the one side, although I do go around the edges all the way around a little bit, just in case it would show through. You don't want that white. And since we're doing these roses, I think I'm actually going to do this one a little bit different. Just to sort of play along with the whole junk look, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So there are different alternatives, and I'll show you both options before I do it. Now, there's different ways you can do this. You can glue it all together and do it. I find it's easier to do it before I glue it together. That's just my personal thought. And then the other one I didn't use a lot of lace, and this one I probably will because it's all roses. So, okay, so this is our envelope. So our small pocket, the small side of our pocket, will go to the back, the large to the front. So what you're going to do is you're going to put glue here and here down the sides. Make sure you have your bottom. And as far as this, you have your option. You can put the short pocket up front with the larger one to the back, which if you look, that is what I did in this one. However, because I want to utilize this window this time, I'm actually going to put the window up front because I'm going to use that since I'm doing a junk journal style. I think it sort of pays more tribute to it. So I would glue it and glue those down right like that. That is the basis of your pocket. If I take all the stuff out, you have this pocket and this pocket. It is just two envelopes right like that and glue it together. This is what made that pocket you just seen. It doesn't look like it, but it actually is. So we're going to utilize this. So since I'm going to utilize this, I actually need to temporarily cut this open up here. So I'm going to and I'm not going to try to take any off. I'm literally just slivering like a hairline sliver of it across the top. Literally, just opening it up. That's all I was doing. And that's enough to open our pocket up where we can access that. So I was actually thinking, let's see. I had a couple of these. But I have this one over here that I'm going to end up using. So I think I'm actually going to use some of this page. So I'm just going to use my bone folder and run across the end of my envelope here. That just lets me know about how deep it is. So I can trim. This isn't even cut straight, but I'm not going to worry about it because I can, trim it up. So I'm going to cut a little bit, about 1/4 of an inch below where I drew that line across my envelope, because I want to make sure that it's tucked inside. And then I'm going to go ahead and sort of trim this up a little bit, but not very much, because I want to make sure I can cover my pocket, but just enough to sort of make it straight. That's just not something you have to do, just something that I'm doing. Let me put this to the side. And I don't need to ink this up or anything, because it's going to be, all the sides are going to be hidden. So let me grab my glue. And I'm just going to put some glue on the back. And it doesn't even have to be, that's going to be completely sealed. We're not going to use that as an actual pocket. It's just going to be sealed inside as a window. So, and I'm just going to slide it down to where I get it past the top. Now you very well could use this as a pocket if you wanted to. I'm choosing not to, because once you get them wrapped around the other envelope, because they are as thin as they are, they get sort of tight. So I'm just going to seal the top back up. There we go. So now we've got our window covered. So now we need to cover here. So since I have this in here, I want to use some of my vintage music and my vintage book sheet. So I'm going to start with my vintage music sheet. I'm going to use this page that's already got some tears in it back here. And again, I use my ink because, we love the way it looks when it's inked. And so this will be a continued tutorial series. I will try to get them all released, and then, the next little bit. Because there are a lot of little pieces to it. And I'm going to run this slightly off the edge and tug it. And I can just tuck that back there. It's not going to bother anything. So there's that. I grab my different book pages. They're about the same color. Let me get some that's a little darker. A darker page. Maybe some that's a little lighter. This is an encyclopedia page that's real bright white. So let's use a piece of the brighter white. I'm going to tear all the white off. I don't really want the white edge on there. I want the bright white, but not all white. You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. And if anybody's wondering, because I'm pretty sure somebody will end up asking, the paper line that all the scraps and stuff are from are Prima Tales of Me and You, is what that actual line was. Just in case somebody wants to know. So I'm going to put some of the dark right there. I'll just put a little on the rough tear this. Well, I'll leave that little straight edge on there. I'm not going to worry about inking this up because it's so dark anyway. Those old pages, some of them are so brittle. I'm going to put some book page across here. Now I tore this sort of straight, and the reason is I want that like sort of covering it, but not completely covering everything. Hopefully that makes some sense. And again, I'm inking, but I'm being very careful because these pages are brittle. But that's the cool thing about having the envelope is the background, because it does sort of give it some more meat to its bone, so it's not as brittle. And I'm not going to worry about the little bit that it's going off over there. That's not a big deal. Where the window is, I think it sort of adds to the charm. So let's see. Stick that up around the corner. Yep, I got glue on my hands. And when I'm using regular scrapbook paper, I sort of mat, I go in where I have that 1/8 inch matting around it. I'm doing it this junk journal style. I just sort of leave it the way that is. I actually think I'm going to use this because I like the fact it's like got that darkened edge on it even without inking. So it sort of makes it look like a different page, even though it is the same page as the other one. And yes, I'm covering this like this because I will still decorate this. But I wanted to just give it the sort of that cute vibe. It'll look really cute. You guys will see. It'll turn out cute. Okay. Let me grab some more music to put in that little bottom corner. Okay. And then I like sort of that torn edge effect. So I'm going to go through here and just very carefully tear along the edge. And if it goes up onto the envelope, it doesn't bother me because it's all saying that I folded over, but it's fine. And if this, some of this won't tear off, it'll be all crooked, which is fine. That's sort of what I'm after. There we go. Let me get this little bit out of the way. And again, I'm going to ink around the edges. Okay. So that's what we ended up with. Now we're gonna do this part, trying to see that we're using for the pocket. So this we were gonna use, and I want to use this rose at the top because I love that rose. Let's see what we have here. We have this left over. I actually think again, I'm just doing this so I can sort of see where I need to tear. So it'll fit. And again, I'm just gonna roughly go down where I sort of scored. Well, I didn't really score, but where I left that impression. And remember, if you don't tear it evenly, then you might have some left over the side, which is perfectly fine. It'll sort of give it a little. Okay, so that's pretty much gonna cover our envelope on the front. And like I said, it will have some that'll be stuck out, but I actually like that, so that doesn't bother me. So I'm gonna ink it all up. And this, even though it's from 1920s, still pretty much has a lot of grit to it, so it should be okay. And then we'll do this. Oh, well, I'll see what time, how the time's going right now. We're okay. So this one will be all junky, and I keep tapping that in there. It's because it's new, so it doesn't have like a lot of ink on it, so I have to keep. Okay. Then this, we're not going to worry about this pocket. We're going to cover this whole entire thing up. So I'm just going to go right around my edges. Sorry about that scratchy noise. Okay, make sure I have it the right way up. Make sure I get it centered about where I want it. So at this point, I can go in where the envelope's showing, and I can darken that up if I want to, sort of give it a little age look. So that white's not showing through. And then I'll go around the edges in case, you know, any of it I missed glue wise and I need to darken it up. Or no, if I need to keep it where it's going to come up like that. There was another place down here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Just if there's any places where it didn't. I think the rest of that looks pretty good. Okay, so then I'm going to mat. I can tell right here, see how this is almost like a divide. So I can use this for something else. So since it's going to be hidden behind a pocket anyway, let's see where my pocket's going to come up to. Where did I lay my pocket? Pocket. There it is. Okay. So this is going to come up on the bottom, and I may have to, I'll have to get rid of that on the bottom. Because you got to have your pocket fit. So my pocket will go right like that. And will come up like that. So I need this to go to, okay, we can cut right here. And that'll be down below the pocket. Because if you can use it somewhere else, why waste it? And again, you know, these are just random cutoffs that were left over from a project I did. So it's like, I'm not wasting anything. And I did all of my base before I started working on anything that went inside of it. Because until you get your base figured out, you really don't know what you need, if that makes sense. Okay, so probably right there. Center in our pocket. And then our pocket will come up like that. That's so pretty. I love roses. That started with my grandmother. My grandmother had this huge yellow Texas rose. Oh my gosh, it was so gorgeous when I was little. And then my mom is like a flower person. She has this massive green thumb and planted a garden. Well, she was planting last night. But raises all her. I want some of this music to show on the top, so I'm going to drop this down a little bit. Raises all her own tomato plants for her garden and everything, and usually has too many. Okay, and then our pocket's going to come up right like that. So that's what the front's going to look like, which I love. I mean, I love the roses showing through the window. This up here at the top, I think it just adds. It's pretty. Okay, so we need to do the back. So since I have this, do I want to put that on the top? Or do I want to put? I sort of like this eclectic little grouping with the little flower. And then I had the other piece I was going to put at the bottom, but instead we could cut down this rose and put it on the bottom. We could double mat it down here with the flower at the bottom, which I think I like. We don't know. Because I could cut that off for the bottom and put this on the top. Let me cut that bottom off first, and we can decide what we're going to do with that. I think I like that with just the hint of the flower, and then we can back this with the music. Or put this up here and this down here, or even this on the pocket down here. Oh, I like it this way. Okay, I want to do this with music on the back to sort of carry over that feel that we have on the front. So it's let's see. Sorry if I got quiet, guys. Okay, so I have this over here, but I think this over here, we'll just run some of that book page through there and have the book page on there, which will look really cute. So that would be there, and this would be there. So you put down through there. Then we would have our pocket right here. This would go here. So we'll just get the outlining of the music. And then this one would go here. I think I like that. So we can pull up a little bit so we get more of that rose in on top. Yep. I do think though. I think I may actually trim this up a bit. Just at the top, just over a little bit more. Because that'll give more of that flower coming up from the bottom. Okay. Let's put it down. And I'm not going to ink any of these because they're just naturally vintage looking. I really don't have to add anything to that. There we go. I am going to ink around the music. Just to darken that edge up. Well, hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I love doing small projects because, you know, you feel like you get something done faster and you've accomplished more. Or at least I do. I don't know about anybody else. So I'm anxious for the swap to see what everybody does. Because I'm sure they're going to be so pretty. I don't know how far down I need to take this, so I'm just going to go that far. And then I can come back if I need to do extra. And again, I'll hit slightly up here, down here for that. Then just going to ink this up. And I mean, there's a lot of things you could do differently even with this. I mean, you could round the corners. That's going to give you a little bit of a different look. With having the jaggedy edges, I sort of want to like keep the, let's see, what is the word? Sort of keep the geometric value of the envelope, which is why I was using this. Yeah, so we'll get the base completely decorated today, guys. So tomorrow we will start in on all the little extras. Well, we still have to add lace and stuff, but we'll do that tomorrow. And then start working on the stuff that goes in it. Let's see, so that's there. So let me put this about right there. I'm trying to make sure I have it sort of centered on the envelope. That looks good. Okay, then we can go ahead now and we can glue our base down. So again, I'm literally just going to put, and I do like a nice little amount, you know, sort of about 1/8 of an inch worth of glue, just to give it, because I mean, you're going to be packing a lot of stuff in here. So I wouldn't do like one little string of glue and think, oh, well, you know, that's enough. My envelope has enough support. I don't have to worry about it. because you are going to be packing it full of stuff. And everything I make with this is going to be made out of scraps. So I actually do think if I have to, I have a couple sheets of the Tales of Me and You collection left still. I'm trying to figure out exactly where my envelope's at over here so I can line my edges up. Where's this side at? Just a little bit off. Just a little bit, just a hair. There we go. So there's our front. And be careful if you burnish if you're using vintage papers, because sometimes they like to rip on you, and nothing's worse than getting a project put together and you're really liking the way it looks, and then you rip something on it and you don't have any more of those because, you know, they're vintage. Or on this side I can, oh, I missed. There we go. And like I said, it doesn't have to be exact. You're covering it up, but it's just more or less like, I don't know if you can see where mine, because of the distance of the music and stuff, it is a little bit about 1/8 of an inch away from the bottom right there, because you can see where the envelope, but it works. You know, and go through and double make sure you have everything. And this is the point where you want to make sure your envelope is completely secured. Every little nook and cranny, every little corner. If it's not, re-glue it before you start adding and doing all that, because if you don't, it's hard to go back once everything's on it. I think I've got enough time, so I do that. I love the front of that. Looks so pretty. Okay, let's do the back here. Let's do book page covering on the bottom, since we have all the music around. I don't want to. This might be cute if I can get it to fit on here. Very gentle ripping on vintage items. I'm just inking a little bit farther down, and I'm angling it up so it doesn't like ink the piece of the piece above it, because I don't want any of this vintage edge sticking up, because if I do, it will catch and tear, and that's something I don't want to happen. Okay, so on the edges out here, it's not so bad, because I can protect that. And when you do your swap and your shipping, if you have like vintage edges out and stuff like this, you may want to like encapsulate it in cardboard or something like that to keep it from, you know, catching on something when you're shipping. Because nothing's worse than you get something that's like ripped apart. The shipping companies do enough damage with some of that stuff that if we can protect it, we need to. Or, you know, maybe wrap it in bubble wrap. I don't know. Okay. Yep, I like that. I didn't plan on this video taking so long. When you're using scraps, it takes a little longer, I think, than, you know, if you have a pre-matched set of items. It makes it a little bit easier, but poked a hole in it, but it's going to be covered up, so it's okay. I glued my arm. There's that. And then let's see what we got. We can put across the bottom there. Just put this little sheet of music across the bottom. Again, I'm inking this because it's not as aged looking as some of the others. And I'm going to let this hang down because it's in the front. It's not really going to bother anything. I'm going to trim the edges up over here. That one's okay, but this one's got to go. I do not like that white edge like that. Yep, that will work. And I know that's a straight thing, but we're going to be putting this on here. So it'll be fine. I am going to trim this up a bit. Let's see where that puts us at. A little bit more. I'll take it off the other end. So they're sort of even where the... Yep, that's fine. Actually, I'm going to cut this part off the bottom. So pretty much just have the rose section without all the little other stuff. I mean, if I wanted to put a bottom, I could do like that. Because this sort of blends with this up here. We'll do that in a little bit. So I'm going to ink this. I'm going to ink the edges really heavy on this. We're almost done with the base, guys. I'm not worried about this bottom part because I'm going to put a pocket anyway. But I think I'm actually going to pull this down some and leave that there because I love the fact it's got like the 5th reader of the page on it. With tears and sobs of joy, and her father laid her within her mother's bosom. That sounds very old and antique-y, don't it? I could leave this as a pocket. Actually, I think I am. I'm going to glue around the edges. So instead of matting the bottom, I'm actually turning it into a pocket, and then we'll put a pocket at the bottom. So this will actually have a couple more pockets. Well, unless we use this as the bottom pocket. So, I mean, you have that alternative. Make sure it's lined up because the music is... The music is slightly crooked. We've got this excess hanging down here, so it makes it appear like it's crooked, and the music is slightly crooked on the page, but it's okay. So there's the front. Okay, brush this down a little bit, make sure it's attached really well. Okay, so far on the front, we have this pocket, or that's the back. And then on this front, we've got this pocket, and I actually think I'm keeping this for the front. I think I'll make this the front and this the back with the pocket. So I switched it around. I like this as the front better. I think just the way this with the 5th reader and stuff, I really like that. So yeah, this is going to be my front. So see, you can change it up on the go. So if we want to add, I'm not going to add a base there, but I would like to add one back here. But I don't really like that. We could add a side one that we could slide stuff into. If we're going to do that, let me see if I have another piece of... Looking through my scraps here. Hold on, guys. I could trim that off and use that as a side pocket, or let's see what it would look like across the bottom. Yeah, see, I just don't like that. I think with this one, I'm going to stick to the 3 pockets instead of adding the extra one at the bottom. I think so. Now we could do that. Let me find, we have this. So I'm using scraps. I'm not going to worry about it. Let me put some glue along here. And I'm just going to put it on this end of this sheet right here. And tear this across the top of that. Go ahead and I'm just going to tear this too. Then I'm going to ink this up really good. I'll find a way to put another pocket on there, guys. Because I really like having that small pocket down there, because I mean you can put little bitty tucks and stuff in there. And that doesn't really change it up a little bit. Change it up. I mean, once we add lace and stuff around the bottom, it'll look really cute. So I'm going to ink this up, or ink it. I'm going to glue this one up. And again, I'm going to go, you know, that little bit of inch, because you're going to be using that for a pocket. And that sort of covers where that was upside down. Right now, it just looks like sort of a layered pocket, but we'll get it all fixed up. And then this down here, I think we're going to do the same thing. So let me glue this up. Well, let me go ahead and tear my pocket however long I want. I think I'm going to take it all the way across. Let me go ahead and rip this sort of straight. You can always clean it up after we glue on it, but that gives me sort of a guide. And this, it doesn't matter which side I put down because it's getting glued on. So okay, I come over here, I'm going to sort of tear along the edge here. It doesn't have to be exact. And if the under shows through, it doesn't matter because it's that scrapbook paper, so it's decorated. So it sort of looks cool when it shows through a little bit. Turn this down over here. This I'm going to tear, but I'm not going to tear it right up because it's going to be hanging off the edge, and I sort of like that little bit of shaggy look it gives it across the bottom. And this will be it. We will be finished. I don't want it to cover my rose, so I'm going to sort of hang it off the bottom. This will be a really, really bottom pocket. There we go. So it almost, we'll cover that with some lace on the front. It'll look really cute. So a pocket, 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 and pocket. So there is our back. Or no, this is our front. This is our front. because I switched them. I forgot. This is our front. And there is our back. And we will be filling it and adding things to it. And we'll add our lace to it and then start making our stuff to put in it tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great day. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for part 2 of the stuffed envelopes. Bye.